This weekend interview is powered by Lululemon. Are you heading up to the Gold Coast Marathon? Lululemon is bringing together runners, crews and clubs for one of the biggest weekends on the Australian running calendar. Join them for the final race prep, recovery sessions and post-race celebrations. You can register for the clubhouse via the link in our Instagram bio or via the show notes.
This week's guest has been on the podium at the last two Australian Cross Country Championships and finished 23rd at last year's World Cross Country Championships in Serbia. He's a low 28-minute 10K runner and at just 23 years of age has a bright future ahead of him. Welcome to the Inside Running podcast, Ed Marks.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Now, firstly, thanks for giving up some of your Wednesday evening. I'm really excited for this interview because you're a guy that we've spoken about a lot on the podcast through various results, but I'm guessing a lot of our listeners don't know much about you. Have you actually been on a running podcast before?
No, this is my first one. I've done some interviews after races, but no, this is it.
Yeah, I feel like you've really sort of flown under the radar given how much you've achieved in the sport already. And but I think you do maybe have a pretty low profile on social media. I noticed your Instagram doesn't have too many posts, and your Strava's, it's not locked down, but you don't post too much on there. So fair to say you have a pretty low profile on social media?
Yeah, definitely. So like my only post on there is actually quite recent though. So I'm going to try and post a bit more in the future just to let people know what I'm up to. And on Strava, haven't really posted much recently. So yeah, I'm not surprised that I've flown under the radar.
And why is it that you sort of come in and out of using Strava?
Well, I guess I feel like it's hard I've always feel like I have to kind of explain myself and like my runs if I'm putting stuff out there on Strava. And so sometimes I'd rather just keep that personal because people are always kind of looking at it and asking questions. And I don't know, I just find it easier just to just keep it on private. But sometimes if I do a race and I'm wearing my watch or, maybe like the odd long run or something, I'll put on there.
Yeah, very good. Before we chat about your success at cross country, because you are very, very good at cross country, I thought it'd be good to go through your PBs. I got these from your World Athletics profile. So just correct me, if they're not right. So 1500 meters got you down as 3:51 from the 2021 Victorian Championships. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's a pretty. Sorry, it's a pretty terrible PB, but that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, you would absolutely smoke that now. But I also noticed that you've only had one 1500 meter race since 2021. And given you're only 23, like traditionally most younger athletes focus on the shorter stuff and then move up. So what is it about the 1500? Like you don't like it or you're not good at it? Why don't you do many 1500s?
Yeah, just because I'm not very good at it. I guess I've always been stronger at the longer distances, and like back in high school, when I kind of started running, the coaches would just put me into longer distance events because I never really showed like that much strength at shorter distances.
Yeah. And then the 3K this year, 7:57 at the Box Hill Classic. And once again, not too many 3Ks on your World Athletics profile. I think the last one before this year was 2023. Similar reasons to the 1500?
Yeah, probably similar reasons, but I would definitely like to do some more 3Ks in the future. I was hoping for a bit of a faster time than 7:57. So yeah, hopefully I can try again sometime soon.
Yeah. And 5K, 13:39 at the 2024 Maurie Plant meet. Happy with that result?
I was back then, but now I would definitely like to see that. A lot faster. I'm hoping to sort of get down to maybe like 13:20 sometime in the future.
Yeah. And 10K is probably like where you excel. 28:11 at the 2024 Run Prix, where you're second, 2 seconds behind Have to. But you've also run 28:13 at the 2023 Launceston 10K, where you finished second and only 2 seconds behind Brett Robinson, and also finished second at last year's Launceston 10K in a sprint finish with Isaac Haynes. So, and where you're given both given the same time. So, you've been very competitive 10Ks on the road, but you've just been out-pipped, I suppose, at the finish.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I remember the first time I ran Launceston, Brett made a move at like 9K, like a really strong move, and he, I mean, he still ran like so well, but he kind of like blew up a little bit, but he was still far enough ahead of me. Not that I could have caught him. He was still far enough ahead of me that yeah, he won. So that kind of like caught me by surprise because I thought he was feeling like really good at the end. And then yeah, with Isaac Hayne, that was crazy. Like I had quite a big lead over him, and he came at me so quickly in like the last 100 meters. We both crossed it, I thought, at the same time, but yeah, I think he outdipped me.
I think he did the same thing to Jack Rayner at City Bay.
Yeah,
Ran him down, so he's
yeah,
got
I remember
got that kick. So like you're obviously running quite well at the moment. Like your Gels Park result was good and won the Victorian 5K Road Champs. So why didn't you do Launceston this year?
I don't know. I just didn't really feel like I'd done it like past 2 years and just didn't feel like doing it this year. To be honest, I mean, yeah, there's no really any other reason.
Yeah. All right. So now I want to discuss your success at cross country. Because as I said before, like you're very good at it. And so as part of my research, I've discovered these are some of the things that you've achieved over the last few years. So you've had the fastest time at Gels Park the last 2 years. And we know that's always a very competitive race. Get a lot of the big guys out there over that 6K cross country. You won this year's AV 12K cross country race by almost a minute. Broke Mona's Mountain to Surf race record earlier this year by close to a minute. So anytime you're breaking a Mona record, you're doing well. Finished second last year at National Cross, 1 second behind Seth O'Donnell, and third the year before that, not far behind Jack Rayner and Andy Buchanan. And then finished 23rd at last year's World Cross, where you beat the likes of Liam Adams and Pat Tinnan. So what's your what's your secret to being so good at cross country, especially at such a young age?
I honestly don't think there's much of a secret. I've just always kind of that's always been my strength. Like hills have always been my strength. Maybe because I'm pretty small and light, so efficient going up the hills. But yeah, I do hills in my training during the week, and I used to run at Fernie, which is up in the Dandenongs. It's a hilly place where a lot of people do their long runs. But yeah, apart from that, there's honestly not really any secrets. It's just my strength. Like other people have, strengths in speed or like, something like that.
You love the cross country though?
Yeah, I do. It can be pretty tough and pretty brutal at times, but yeah, I really do love it.
Well, let's talk about your introduction to the sport. So I did a little bit of digging and you ran 8:44 for 3K and 15:22 for 5K just before you turned 16. So you obviously had some, decent talent from a young age. When did you start running? And what got you into it?
So I think the earliest, like when I was really young, I would sometimes go for like runs with my dad. That's kind of like my earliest memory of it. But that would only be like maybe a couple of kilometers and very slow. And then in primary school, I joined like the running club. We would just run some days before school, again, just a few kilometers. And I found I was like pretty good at that, nothing amazing. And then in year 7, when I moved like to Wesley from my primary school, sorry, I moved there in year 6, but the following year, one of my friends actually got me into running. He invited me to go and train with him, and it all sort of went from there.
Yeah. And in terms of success as a junior, like they're pretty solid times, especially back then. Obviously, there's a lot of juniors running really quick times now. Was that putting you on the podium at national age championships? Like, where were you finishing in those?
Uh, I think I can't really remember. I think it did get me on the podium. I think in like this was like maybe in year 10 or 11, it would get me like I think I got on the podium for cross country one year, and then I think even for the 3K at nationals one year I came third. So,
Yeah.
but then in other races maybe I'd finish, lower down. So, yeah, I was doing all right, I think.
And who were the main people to beat in your age group?
Wow. So I think back then, have you heard of Luke Young? You
Yeah,
probably have. He was really strong as a junior.
he was
Uh,
he was New South Wales, wasn't he?
yeah,
Yeah, up
yeah,
around Newcastle way, I think.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Luke Young. Who else? And then I mean, there were other guys from Wesley, where I was from. So there was like Kang and Adam, who were similar ages to me. Who else? Matthew Hussey.
Yeah.
He's always been like really strong over that sort of like 1500 to 3K distance. Uh,
And who were your coaches up until, I suppose, end of teenage years?
yeah, so it was Rod Kelly. So my friend, yeah, that he was training with Rod Kelly. He invited me there, and yeah, started training with Rod and was training with him, all the way up until I moved to MTC, which was I think maybe like uh, 2022 around that time.
Yeah. And you run for Glenn Huntley. How did that association come about? Was that through your coach or another
Yeah,
connection?
yeah, that was through my coach because we would train at Duncan McKinnon. I would train there with Rod, and that's the home sort of track of Glenn Huntley. So, yeah, I can't really remember the specifics of it, but I think Rod just kind of got me to join up, and yeah, that was so long ago now. Can't even remember, but it's been great.
And you mentioned that you joined MTC. How long did that last? And I guess why did you leave MTC?
So I think it was around. It might have been the end of 2021 or around 2022 when I joined, and then I had some sort of like injury issues which kept me out of action for a while. So then I was really kind of training with them, I think, from like 2023 up until the end of last year. And yeah, I had an injury late last year and was kind of like reassessing um, my running and what I wanted to do with it. And I initially kind of didn't really want to run anymore because I felt like I was getting injured too much. But then that wasn't going to happen because I really do enjoy like this sport. But I also just wanted a bit more autonomy over my training, and so yeah, I thought like I'd just like to kind of do my own thing for a while.
Yeah. And I noticed on your World Athletics profile that there weren't any races in 2022. What were the injuries that you were having?
I just had like some stress fractures. I think I got stuck in a bit of an injury cycle back then uh, because I wasn't really I had sort of upped my training, but wasn't really fueling. I wasn't eating enough. Yeah, or maybe enough of the right types of foods. So yeah, I feel like I just got kind of stuck in that injury cycle for a bit. But yeah,
And you were seriously thinking about quitting the sport?
well, yeah, because it's very frustrating because the injury that I had last year is kind of like an injury that I've had a few times, and just when you've had the same injury a few times, yeah, I just find it. I mean, it wasn't like it was only for like a couple of days, that sort of frustration, and then kind of after you kind of um, regather yourself, you realize like that you're not going to quit, but like I guess that initial sort of frustration, and especially after having like the injury a few times, which was a stress fracture in my sacrum, seems to be a bit of a weak point for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it was just the frustration.
Yeah, it would have been a shame to see you leave the sport, especially given that you're so young. Like, I don't know whether you're aware of Eloise Wellings' story, but she missed pretty much 3 Olympics because she was basically selected every time, but then didn't make it there. And you look at her the last 10 years, and she hasn't really had an injury at all. So, given you're so young, you've got plenty of good years ahead of you.
Yeah, I hope so. As long as I don't do anything stupid.
Yeah. And so talk us through your current coaching setup. Are you coaching yourself or you got somebody advising you?
Yep. Yeah. So I'm just kind of self-coached at the moment, but I guess the general structure of my training looks pretty similar to what it has been, over the last several years. So not really too much has changed, but just coaching myself does allow me to change things up. From week to week. It's not always probably for the best, but I like to kind of keep things interesting and try different things.
And do you have like a mentor in you? Like, do you bounce some ideas off people?
So no real mentor. I bounce ideas off. I talk to my dad quite a bit about my training and things like that. But no, not really a mentor. It would probably be good for me to have one at some point, because it can get pretty. You can get a bit too involved, maybe emotionally, in like your training and everything like that. So yeah, I think it would be good for me to have one.
And when you say that you speak to your dad about it, what's his background in the sport?
He doesn't have a background in the sport at all, but yeah, he's kind of really the only, like, he's there. I see him, of course, on a regular basis. So yeah, he's kind of the one that I'm just bouncing ideas off. Most of the time, he's not very interested, but yeah, I'll still voice ideas to him anyway.
And what sort of gives you the confidence to be able to coach yourself in terms of like, you studying sports science, or like you got any sort of back other than being a great athlete and having trained for so many years? Like, are you confident that you can coach yourself well?
Uh well, I guess we'll have to see. Like, I don't know whether things will work out, but um, I think because the training is quite similar to what I've been doing for a while, hopefully I will still see that like progression in my results. But no, I'm not studying anything related to it. I'm actually doing studying engineering. So, but I follow a lot of the big athletes, and of course, like, I've looked on plenty of Strava profiles, and I'm always checking that to see what people are up to. So yeah, I kind of just piece together, I guess.
I have heard that you're a very smart guy, so I reckon you probably could do a good job yourself. Like, just given the fact that you're able to identify that MTC wasn't working for you in terms of you kept breaking down and having to change something. There's a lot of people that wouldn't do that. They would just keep banging their head against a brick wall and getting the same result. So, you know, it's a testament to go, no, I need to change something here. But I just find it interesting that a runner at your level will just go, no, I'll just do it myself, as opposed to trying to find like another coach.
Yeah, well, thanks. I mean, I really appreciate you saying that. I do want to say that, like, it definitely wasn't like the training, like all the coaching at MTC that was leading me to breaking down. Like, I've been having, I feel like I've had like some issues even back when I was coached by Rod, and like really not running that much with the stress fracture. Like, I had one back then. So yeah, it wasn't like the coaches or anything like that. But yeah, I did just want to sort of change things up and see, how, if my body responded, differently, or, but I guess we'll see. I feel like it's too early to tell.
The ultimate destination for the Gold Coast Marathon weekend is the Lululemon Clubhouse, and it's happening at the QT Hotel from July 4th to 6th. Throughout the race weekend, Lululemon is hosting 3 daily events at the QT with no pre-registration required. Starting from 9am each day on the ground floor, a pop-up shop will offer last-minute race essentials, running accessories, and performance wear. On the QT rooftop, you can find 2 experiences. From 9am, the Rise and Recover space with Ambassador Ben Seymour and recovery tools like compression boots and massage guns. From 10am, a customization hub will be available to create personalised commemorative items. In addition to this, there are some events with limited capacity, so registration is essential. They include shakeout runs on both Friday and Saturday, along with mobility and mindfulness that will help you tune in, loosen up, and get race day ready from the inside out. These will be led by Lululemon Ambassador Ryan Mannix. The session blends fluid movement with intentional breath work to support your body and mind through every stage of the weekend journey. On Sunday, you can attend a live recording with us as Inside Running Podcast goes live from 1:30pm to 3pm in the QT Ballroom with a big recap of the race weekend, special guest and post-marathon discussions. Following that, from 3 to 5pm, a post-race celebration will be held on the QT rooftop. This event is for all racers and supporters to reflect on the weekend with food, drinks, photo opportunities and custom keepsakes. More details are in the link in our Instagram bio or in the show notes.
Well, now I want to hear about your training week. So either you could recap what you did last week. So you would have come off the 5K at Albert Park on the Sunday. Did you then go into like a Tuesday session or did you jog for most of the week?
Yeah, so last week, so the race was on Sunday and I kind of did an extended cool down after the 5K. So just like around the lake, and then I live pretty close to Albert Park, so I jogged home, but I don't think I should have done that. I should have cut it short. I was pretty tired once I got to 12, 13K in a cool down. I was pretty cooked. And then Monday jogged. Tuesday, I did a session, sort of like a VO2 session. And then Wednesday jog. Thursday more of like a threshold session. Take Fridays off. Normally take Fridays off, and then Saturday I did a hill session. So I'm probably running about 120 to 140 k's a week usually. With like 3 sessions in there.
And do you do doubles on the session days?
Yeah, so I double on my jogs, and I double on some of the session days. If it was like kind of a harder workout, then I might not. So like on a Saturday, I might not double after like doing the hills because it's a bit more intense. But yeah, on Thursdays, I'll usually do a double after that. And my runs are I'll do maybe 10K in the morning and 8 to 10K in the evening. I find that I just recover better with doing the shorter distances. I used to run a bit more in the mornings, like maybe an hour, 70 minutes, but I felt it just took me longer to recover from that.
And can you give us an example of one of your VO2 sessions, an example of one of your threshold sessions, and an example of your hill session?
Yeah, sure. So a VO2 session that I did a couple of weeks ago, which I'm actually pretty proud of. It was 5 by 1K at 5K pace. So it was around that sort of 240 per 240, with about a 2 to 2.5 minute break in between. So that would kind of be like a VO2 session. Are
you doing that? Sorry, are you doing that on the track?
Yeah, sorry, that's on the track, and and wearing the carbon shoes. So I've been running in the Adidas Adios Pro 3s, I think. Yeah, so that was on the track, and then say the sort of threshold thing on Thursday. I usually split it up, so it could be 5 by 6 minutes, just around an oval or something. Maybe 310 per K, 310 per kilometer, 305, depending on how I'm feeling and the wind and things like that. And then on Saturday, it was pretty standard sort of hill session, 20 times kind of 30 to 35 second hill. And I did it at the Tan. Well, not at the Tan. It was on kind of a street next to it with a good hill on it. So just run hard up and then jog down, repeat.
How much time would you take to get back down?
From on the hills, maybe a minute, and I change it up. I go to different places for hills. So some weeks they're a bit longer, some weeks shorter, some weeks they're on grass, some weeks they're on the gravel or the footpath, so pavement.
Yeah. Pretty like some decent intensity there though. When you look at like the VO2 sessions, obviously fairly high intensity, and then the hills. Would you say like the intensity of the hills is just as hard as the VO2, or because you're jogging back down pretty quickly, it's a bit more aerobic?
Yeah, it can be pretty tough, especially if the hills are shorter. I feel like that really spikes the lactic. But yeah, I think because I get like a pretty decent jog down, I'm able to recover. And then like not sort of every Tuesday will be like a session of sort of. I mean, it's not that much volume. It's only 5K, but maybe it won't be like that intense. But I've been I've been trying to sort of try out like a lot of different kind of workouts on the track because I just feel like I'm quite lacking with that kind of like race specific like having that ability to run at those race paces or like faster. So yeah, I've been trying out some different things like shorter reps like 400 and stuff, but um, yeah.
And do you do any gym work throughout the week?
Yes, I do. A couple times a week, I do some strength training. So I've got like some weights out in the shed, like a bar on like a bar that I do some strength stuff with, and then like all the usual like core and mobility and sort of glutes, hips, hip flexors, calves, yeah, all the usual stuff. So yeah, that'll be like maybe like twice a week, 30 to 40 minutes. I'll try and
Yeah.
cover all bases.
And where you at in terms of like trying to get some sponsorship or having a manager to potentially get you into some overseas races? Like, has that been spoken about at all?
Uh, I'm not at the moment. I'm not really like looking for like a sponsorship or management. I guess because I just feel like I'm not really at that level right now where I don't know. I just personally I just don't think I'm at the level where I should have like well that's not right actually. But
I reckon you're selling yourself real short. Like you finished 23rd at the World Cross. Like there's athletes that haven't achieved what you've achieved that have sponsorship.
yeah, you're right. You're right, definitely. Um,
But yeah, it's something that you'd be obviously well. Like, when do you think you deserve sponsorship? Then, like, given what are you? You're 28 low 10K guy, one of the best over cross country. Like, what do you have to do to think that you deserve sponsorship?
yeah, yeah, I don't know. Probably just get to the level where like I could sort of compete in some international races, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're right. I probably am like selling myself short. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe I will start looking and reaching out.
And talk us through that world cross experience. Like, did that result surprise you, or you thought that was on the cards?
It did kind of surprise me. I was expecting to finish more sort of in the mid 30s, but I thought I had a good race. It was kind of a safe race in a way. Like I just went out at like a bit slower than quite a lot of the guys at the start, and for the whole race, actually, I don't think um, really many people passed me. I was mainly just like catching up with people who had gone out too hard and were coming back. So yeah, I was really happy with the way I raced. It wasn't like the most kind of aggressive race tactic, but I think just the fact that I paced it pretty well meant that I finished a lot higher up than I thought I would.
Yeah. And I suppose just getting back to the injuries that you've had, like, were you running higher mileage back then than what you're doing now, or it's always been around that 130, 140K, but you were just breaking down before through nutrition and stuff like that, whereas now you can run the same mileage, but you're not having the issues?
Yeah. So like back in like high school, of course, I wasn't running that much. I mean, it was probably like 60, 70 Ks or something a week, if that. And then like once I left high school, yeah, then I kind of bumped up the mileage to, yeah, again, like maybe like 120, 130. But I really just didn't understand like that I needed to eat more. Like, it wasn't that I was like restricting myself. I just was kind of eating normally, but it just wasn't enough. And so, yeah, that's kind of when I ran into the problems with the injuries. And yeah, it was just, I'm sure everyone knows like the injury cycle. You kind of get stuck in that, and yeah, that took me out for a bit. But I feel like I'm better at like staying on top of all of that now. So um, I'm definitely getting like less injuries than I was back then, and yeah, hopefully can really keep it at bay through like proper nutrition and recovery, and just not doing anything too sudden, like not making too many sudden changes.
Yeah. And was college ever an option for you? Did you look at that route?
Yeah, I actually was considering it, and I got a few offers as well. But when I like finished high school, I was 17, and I know like lots of people at that age are probably ready to like, I don't know, maybe leave home or something like that, and go overseas to college. But I don't think I was like mature enough at that age to really go. And so yeah, I decided to stay here. Also because I wanted to do a particular course at Melbourne University, which is where I'm studying now. And and then again, I did look into going over to college later on, like a few years later, but because I was coming to the end of my bachelor's degree, and it meant that I wouldn't really be able to study what I wanted over in college. It just wouldn't really work out. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame, because I definitely think it'd be really cool to experience that. But yeah, I guess I just wasn't ready coming out of high school.
And which colleges offered you a scholarship?
Uh, I can't remember, but more recently, um, Wisconsin, where like Adam is, of
Yeah,
course.
Adam.
They After I ran the 28 13, the first time I ran Launceston, they um, called me up. The coach Mick, I think his name is, called me up and was like, "Oh, would you want to come and run with us?" I think for like a year or something like that. But it didn't really work with like my studies. Like, I wouldn't be able to go and study what I wanted there. It just unfortunately didn't work out. But it would have been a really cool experience.
So what sort of engineering are you studying?
It's electrical engineering. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
got about a year and a
And
half left.
Zach and Newman being high up in Melbourne Uni athletics, he hasn't tried to. No one at Melbourne Uni's tried to recruit you to run for them.
No, not yet actually. And I couldn't even get like a free gym membership or anything like that from being an athlete. But um, I'd like to
So
go.
I reckon. I was just going to say, I reckon Zach will be in your DMs tomorrow, offering you a gym membership, maybe a brown paper bag and a white and blue singlet.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice. I would like to go along to some of the sessions they've got. Actually, that would be cool. Just looks like a good vibe.
Yeah. And so goals for the rest of this year. So like just looking at what you've done this year so far, it's like, well, maybe in the winter, really dominant win over 12K cross country, fastest at Gerald's Park, won the 5K at Albert Park. What races do you have on the calendar for the rest of this year?
So I'll probably do like a few more of the XCR races, and of course there's the Vic cross country championships in Ballarat, and also the national championships in both held in Ballarat. So yeah, those will be kind of focus for the next couple months. And what else? I guess later on in the season, I'm not really sure like how many. I'd like to do a 10K on the road at some stage. I think maybe Burnie 10 is later this year in September or something. And then, if I'm thinking like later on this year, early next year, there's World Cross Country in Florida, I think in like January next year. So I'd probably go to the trials for that.
It's really early next year, I think. It's like 10th of January or something like that.
Yeah, super early.
Yeah, obviously National Cross. It's like you've had a second there and you've had a third. It'd be nice to stand on the top step.
Definitely. Never won. I've never won National Cross. Always feel like I've the other guys always just got like a little bit more, or like wants it a little bit more at the end. But yeah, I would love to win national title.
I think though what it showed, like you look at the guys that have recently been winning national cross, and you look at what's happened to their career afterwards. So you look at somebody like Andy Buchanan was quite dominant cross country for a few years at the national level. Seth has won a couple of national crosses, and you look where he's at, and you're sort of there or there, or have been there or thereabouts. So I think it's a good sign of what's to come for you if you can stay in one piece, I think.
Yeah, thank you. I hope so. But yeah, Seth and Andy, I feel like they're so good. They're just on another level. Like especially how Seth, so like his, I feel like his 5K PB was kind of similar, if not slower than mine, and then all of a sudden he was running 13:20 and then 13:15. So maybe at cross country I'm sort of on a similar level, but yeah, they're doing really well. But yeah, hopefully it's a sign of good things to come.
So you weren't tempted to go and do like a Gold Coast 10K or the half marathon up there? Because I noticed you haven't even run a half, have you?
No, I haven't run a half. I would like to though, but I just don't feel like my training at the moment has really prepared me for it. Like I don't really know much about those longer distances. I feel like you've got to focus more on like maybe staying hydrated or fueled during the race. I'm not sure. Like I feel like just jumping into one like a half marathon might be a bit risky, like without kind of
Yeah.
properly building into it. Yeah, I didn't run the 10K at Gold Coast, but yeah. Wait a second, has that come? No, that was,
No, so Gold Coast is
yeah,
next.
that hasn't. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
running
not this
that. Yeah,
weekend, weekend after.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think you'd run a great half because I just think that the strength, well, traditionally, people that run quite well at cross country do transition well to both the half marathon and the marathon. And I don't think the fueling would be too much of an issue because it's an hour. So you don't have any plans at the moment to step up to the half?
not not right now, but I would like to run one in the near future. Are there any others like apart from Gold Coast that you can think of?
Melbourne, October.
Yeah, and of course there's the Burnley half marathon
Yeah.
during the cross country season. I just feel like I would want like a proper build up to the race before, like instead of just kind of doing one like straight
Yeah.
out. I don't know whether I would need that or
I
not.
think you. I think given how fit you are, I think you'd go pretty well. And then you've got other road races like City Bay and that sort of thing. Whereas I feel like somebody at your level should be on that sort of circuit, picking up, some pretty decent prize money.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, you've got me interested now. So
Jeez, maybe I'll be your manager. um, what else have I got here? Oh, so just in terms of outside of running, what what does Ed Marks like to do? What are you interested in?
well, outside of running, you like my uni work takes up like a lot of my time during the day. So yeah, I mean, like I just finished my last exam for this semester yesterday, and then before that, it's just been studying, doing assignments. Yeah, but of course, like I like to catch up with friends and stuff like that on the weekends. But yeah, I feel like I'm either most time either studying or training. Yeah, or
Yeah.
recovering.
Any other sort of any hobbies? Like, do you like watching Netflix, any TV shows or internet, that sort of stuff?
I haven't really been watching much TV at the moment. I'd like many TV shows. I mean, I watch TV shows at night because I'm still living with my parents, so like we'll watch stuff at night. But it's all pretty kind of old TV shows. It's stuff that they want to watch. So yeah, it's nothing I don't think that people would know about. But apart from that, I haven't really been watching anything. I've been following along with like the Diamond League though. Really enjoy that.
And last question for me: when you were growing up, did you have some idols, athletes you looked up to?
Yeah, well, I really looked up to Steve Prefontaine when I was in like, yeah, I think around like year 9 to probably year 12. Yeah, it's kind of cringe looking back on it, because like I would kind of try and dress the same way as him. Like you probably don't, like he used to wear like a t-shirt under a singlet, and like I'd always do that, and like my friends would always like, make fun of me for wearing that. And then like of course the whole like, going really hard in races sort of mentality. I don't know. I just loved that, back in year 9, year 10, 11. I just, and yeah, he's still definitely like a running idol of mine, but maybe not so much like that mentality of just like, going all out and like, if someone's going to beat me, they're going to have to bleed to do it. And like, I don't know. It's just maybe a bit too intense, but I loved it back then.
No, I totally get it. I was a massive Steve Prefontaine fan as well. That is just not the answer I expected from you, especially somebody so young.
Oh, right. Really?
How did you stumble across even knowing about Prefontaine? Was it like one of the movies,
yeah,
or
it was the movie. I think Jared Leto or someone played Steve Prefontaine.
it was without limits.
Yeah, I think that was it. It was just like I watched it on like YouTube or something, and yeah, I was just like obsessed. And I was like, wow, this guy's like the coolest guy ever, because he would just go out there like no fear, just give it his all every time. Yeah.
I'll tell you my Prefontaine story off air, because if I do it on here, the boys will give me a heap of shit because they've heard it so many times.
No, I'd love to hear it.
Well, thank you so much. It's been awesome getting to know a little bit more about you. You're obviously super talented, but also very humble, given that you're like, oh, I don't think I deserve sponsorship. I'm going to put a prediction out there that within the next 5 years, you'll be one of our top distance runners. So although you're not sponsored now, I think like a sponsorship and, potentially being a pro athlete's not far off. But that being said, like you come across as a guy that's obviously you're into your studies as well. How do you think you would go being a pro athlete? Do you think you would struggle just having nothing else to focus on?
Yeah, I'm not sure, because you would get into a routine, and I think other things would kind of take the place of study, like during the course of the day. So yeah, it's hard to tell, but I think it's something that I'd really like to try, even if it's just for like a few years. Maybe after, I've got like a bit over a year left of my engineering degree. So after that, I definitely would like to try like the pro athlete lifestyle. Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, thanks again, Ed. Nice to meet you. Nice to get to know you, and all the best for the rest of the season. To hopefully meet you in person at an event sometime.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks. Because where are you guys based? Are you?
We're all over the place. So I'm in Canberra.
Okay.
Brady's in Echuca Moama, and Moose is down in Anglesea, down where you broke that down the surf coast where you broke Mona's record.
Oh, I want to for the record that the course is now 200 meters shorter than it was. I might have just like got his record, even if it was like the same, but yeah, the course was like shorter, and I was saying to like the organizers, like surely you can't say that I've got his record when it's like not even the same course. And they were like, no, don't worry about it. But yeah,
once again, selling yourself short. No, you say no. I did take Mona's record.
No, I'm selling the course short. It was a short course, but no, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Awesome. All right, Ed, thanks again for your time, and we'll chat again soon.
Great. Thanks again.
Thanks for tuning in to the weekend interview powered by Lululemon. Don't forget, if you're heading up to the Gold Coast Marathon, Lululemon are bringing together runners, crews and clubs for one of the biggest weekends on the Australian running calendar. Join them for final race prep, recovery sessions and post-race celebrations. You can register for the clubhouse via the link in our bio.
The